Hello, everybody, and welcome to the broadcast. Today, I'm your host, Spaffles, and I'm being joined by Computer OW. Together, we are going to be casting your UFT Blue versus Northeastern games. To give you guys some background, uh,
Yeah. These teams have a little bit of a history. We've played UFT's played against Northeastern before in Overwatch 1, and currently sitting an 0-2 record. Northeastern's beaten UFT both times the teams have crossed paths. So maybe the players are going to feel like there's a bit of a score to settle. Maybe they're going to feel something about that. But whatever the case, it's a matchup with a little bit of a history behind it.
yeah, for sure. And also, that also puts us where both UFT and Northeastern's positions are in the tournament as a whole. UFT has 3 wins and 0 losses under their belt. They're currently flawless. Meanwhile, Northeastern has a 2-3 record currently going into their game 5, while UFT is going into their game 4. So while it is not exactly even, we're going to try and see if UFT can make it into the 4-0, which is currently the top bracket of the tournament. That's where all the teams are tied for first place currently. We're going to see if we can maintain that position up in the top.
Yeah.
Now,
And so
leading on to the teams.
in some
Oh,
ways,
sorry.
it's a case of, two teams with, on the one hand, Northeastern with a perfect record against UFT. On the other hand, so far UFT perfect record in this tournament. So one of those streaks is going to be broken, and we'll just have to see which.
Yeah, exactly. So now going into the teams, we have UFT Blue up first. Would you like to introduce them, Chris?
Yeah, of course. So UFT Blue today, who we have playing is Aspect, as always, on tank. Arjun on main tank, Cool Noodle on flex support. And then we have Dino, the hit scan player, who we might be seeing some Soden, we might be seeing some Cassidy, some Ash, who knows. And Lamag, or Lam, on DPS, flex DPS, but has a particularly nasty echo. And yeah, Spaffles, why not introduce Northeastern?
Yeah, for sure. So on the side of Northeastern, we have Sklee, who's going to be the tank. We have Woe and Neats as DPS. Woe would be playing projectile, meanwhile Neats is hit scan. And we're going to have Timid and QG Hop. Timid looks to be the main support, while QG Hop is their flex support. Overall, pretty balanced lineups. You don't see many double hit scans or double projectiles. You don't see hyper specialization in teams nowadays. It's always one of this, one of that within the roles. Just trying to make sure they balance and see so they're able to be flexible when the metas come around, when the metas change.
So yeah, those are far a lot of brawl out of UFT.
Yeah, we are in a little bit of a brawl meta, broken up by the occasional ball teams and dive, but typically you're going to see a lot of Junker Queen, you're going to see a lot of Reinhardt, you're going to see more brawly comps that are centered around supporting their tanks, and it's just going to be a big battle where each team withers each other down.
Yeah, and it looks like I believe our first map here is going to be Lijiang Tower. And so maybe we're going to be seeing some of that LAN Echo gameplay coming out. It's definitely sort of quite an interesting map, quite open, a lot of opportunities for dive in particular.
Yeah, for sure. So Lijiang Tower is also an interesting map because it tends to lend itself really well for different kinds of playstyles. And a lot of teams actually kind of break the mold with the defined meta, like Sim or Junkrat, especially Junkrat on Control Center, Sim on Temple, really breaks the molds and introduces different aspects that just keep everything fresh. And so it's not really something you'd see on every map.
It looks like we are going in now. The teams are ready as we start the first round of this best of 3 on Lijiang Tower Night Market.
Yeah, so now we're seeing actually 2 very different teams off the rip. So you're going to see Aspect on Ramatra, Dino It's Cassidy, Lan on Symmetra. You're going to see Bap and Lucio actually coming out for UFT. Meanwhile, Northeastern is opting for a more heavy dive comp, where they're going Ball, Tracer, Echo, Lucio, and Kiriko. They're just going to try and deathball their opponents and pick off any outliers.
So we're seeing UFT all getting straight to point very fast. They're going to be wanting to play this very brawly with this sort of comp that they have. Meanwhile, there's a lot of poking, a lot of sort of trying to get set up from Northeastern.
Yeah, so now that UFT has secured the point early, Lan has set up all his Symmetra turrets, and it's just a battle of poke now. Dino getting low, but he's able to be healed up. Ramatra is still sitting around half HP. And it is going to be an early cap for UFT. Now, how long are they going to be able to hold this? Because that's the specialty of the Symmetra comp, is holding the point early and trying to cheese out an early, like 15, 20%.
Ooh, an Aspect falls, but Kiriko and Echo are both down for Northeastern.
Yeah, it's 2 picks to 1, 2 picks to 3, and UFT are actually able to keep alive here and hold on to the point while Northeastern is going to reset.
Dino off the map, putting UFT at perhaps a slight disadvantage into this next fight, depending on how fast Northeastern can get their engagement going. And it looks like what we're seeing here is just a lot of fairly chaotic fights, and it's all about who can react faster to vulnerabilities, feeling for teammates for finding those openings in the enemy team.
Yeah, Ball goes in with the ultimate, and you see the counter from Baptiste and from Cassidy. We do see Symmetra and Lucio fall. Diva 1 HP, Bap dies, and it does look like the point is going to be flipped over to Northeastern.
Aspect looking to go for a stall, but Northeastern is going to take the points after a quite lengthy stall from UT. It's still stalling.
Wow, yeah, that was an incredible stall there from Aspect and from Lan, securing 64%. Now, it's not the magic 70% that puts you in one fight territory to secure the point, but it is as close as you're going to get.
UFT is at a bit of an ult disadvantage coming in. Both teams have beat online, but Northeastern have basically everything but mines, whereas all that UFT really has online is that Diva Bomb at 86%.
Yeah, now we see an engage coming in from Sklee, and they're going to try and poke, get everyone low, or while UFT flanks around and goes straight to fight on the point. Beat coming out early to fight the Kitsune Rush.
And we're seeing Poodle go down already, and that's the main source of healing, and it looks like UFT Blue down 3 Aspects using the Diva Bomb fails to secure any kills with it.
Oh wow, Aspect's so close to getting a triple kill with the remech. Unfortunately doesn't go through. Northeastern do win the fight, keeping the point alive at 50%. It looks like they are going to be able to match UFT's 64 quite easily here by the time they're able to regroup and push back onto the point.
Now we see Sklee setting up their own ball on the high ground, looking for maybe a big engage, maybe just a sort of soft engage rolling through the team. Andrew comes out, and I think the mines are going to be the important aspect of this next fight.
Yep, so that was a nice pull spawn coming out from Woe and the mines as well. They're going to really try and keep UFT off the point. However, Len is looking for a flank behind. We see 2 nice picks coming out from Neats, looking for a third. Can he get it? Nope, Kiriko TP's away from the sticky bombs.
Out behind as well.
Yep.
This is difficult for UFT.
Exactly, and we
almost
see
90%. They're going to have to regroup fast if they want to get retouched.
Yeah, so there's no more time for regroups. The time for regrouping is over. They're going to try and find somebody who can cheese a touch on point. That's going to be Tracer, that's going to be Lucio, maybe Kiriko with a TP follow-up. And here we see...
touching.
Yep. So now we enter overtime, but it does look like UFT are going to get picked off. They're down Tracer and Diva, down the Lucio as well, and the objective is secured for Northeastern 1-0 on Lijiang.
That's a reasonably close first round that we're seeing there. But I think the big thing is just the ult economy there. After that point got flipped, was just so dominant in Northeastern's favor, and UFT Blue really seemed to just struggle to get their foothold back.
Yeah, so what really happened, or what the real breakpoint I believe was after the first push around like 50%, UFT had expended 3 ultimates to try and hold on to the point, but they weren't successful. That leaves Northeastern in such a dominant position where all they used was mines. They're able to just kind of choke UFT out and keep them away from the point using different ults at different times. They're staggering their ult usage to make sure that, especially with the hero swapping on UFT, they're not able to build up a significant ult advantage in the time needed before the first point.
Now we're seeing a sort of more divey composition. D.Va Echo dive with Cassidy Zen break backline from UFT. We saw a little bit of aspect on D.Va in that last round, but we're going to be seeing a lot more of it.
Yeah, exactly. So now 2 picks for UFT coming out. We see 3 actually with... Oh, I spoke too soon. Cassidy fails to secure the kills. But Aspect is there to swoop in and guarantee them, and that's UFT getting first cap again. Can they?
It looks like the playstyle, as we've seen before, Dino with just really nasty picks on. He seems to particularly like killing Lucio's. And so maybe what we're going to be seeing is a focus on Dino, who's already at 60% to Deadeye, showing just how much damage he's done. Putting damage, and then the D.Va to secure and close kills.
Yeah, exactly. So now we're posturing up, we're looking for another team fight. As Ball is getting chased around at half HP, headshot onto the Tracer. Land does find a kill on his Echo, and Tracer falls down as well. That's going to be a shutdown for Northeastern's push as they're walking back to spawn in an effort to regroup. And that's an amazing stagger kill from Land as well. Staggering that Lucio especially, he's not able to speed boost anyone into the team, and really delays their push massively, securing at least a 55 to 60% for UFT.
We're seeing Northeastern now, they're coming close on Kitsune and Copy, but UFT definitely have, it's slight, but they definitely have an ult advantage, particularly with those tank ultimates. And so we're going to be seeing ultimates start to be used in this fight as the Ball and Tracer are looking for a flank.
Exactly, now Ball engages, but he's going to be cornered by the rest of UFT. He falls, and Echo actually finds a double kill, killing Lucio as well with her beam, and Tracer's going to try and secure anything she can. Gets chased out by Land, and that's going to be a triple kill for him, actually. What an incredible fight for UFT.
Securing it in quite dominant fashion without really needing any ultimates, and this round is looking very different from the first.
Yep, and now we're looking at 5 ults to 3. Can Northeastern turn this ult's disadvantage around and secure the point? We're going to see Ball going for a flank, and they're actually going to back cap the objective, so now it's on them to stall and try and buy as much time as possible to secure their score.
It falls, Trans is forced out, but without gaining too much other than just sustaining the fight for another few seconds. Ooh, Kiriko falls into Kitsune.
Yeah, and then Needs secures the kill onto Dino, and Woe finds another, and it does look like the point is going to be going over to Northeastern, and they are going to be able to hold.
It's a close fight there for a bit, but yeah, just the Kitsune rush proved a little bit too much, and I think Dino falling in the high noon there was really the nail in the coffin. Now UFT are pushing with only Copy, really, and Sklee is going to be looking to probably close out this next fight with that Mines, which has been pretty scary since it got bugged.
Yeah, it's that ult economy we're talking about, as Woe finds the kill on Land, going for the flank, and unfortunately, this is looking very, very bad for UFT. As Sklee is positioning with Mines ready, mind you, he is going to be able to deny and buy a lot of time on the point.
UFT does still only need 1 win to take this fight, to take this whole round. But they are going to, it looks like, struggle to take the point back from Northeastern.
Yeah, Mines come out, and Zenyatta does fall, so does Dino to the Tracer pulse bomb. And this is looking like a very good fight for Northeastern.
Land
does find trade, but unfortunately Sklee does get the kill onto D.Va, and Neats is able to clean up Argeny or Land trades, but it's not enough. And that's going to be 90% for Northeastern. UFT are going to try and contest, but it is unclear if they're going to be able to make it back to the objective at this point.
Back. Aspect manages to get the touch, finds the Echo, and Sklee's off the map!
Wow,
UFT might be able to win this!
Yeah, so suddenly, the script has been flipped. With the clever usage of D.Va as well as Rally, they're able to actually recap the point, and now the onus is on Northeastern to try and rush across with Tracer with Ball and try and cap the point.
Northeastern have a Kitsune rush if they can stay alive long enough for it, but the ult advantage is they can't get a touch.
Yeah, and we see a C9 coming out. Evens the score 1-1 on Li Jiang, and we're going to go to the control center next. Hopefully, we're going to see a third different comp for both teams, really. They've actually been really good at switching them up.
Looks like Northeastern are going for a quite brawl-heavy comp. Lucio, Bap, Ryan, Cassidy, and Junkrat. Junkrat, of course, very powerful with his spam on this Legion control center.
Yeah, Junkrat is a pretty popular pocket pick here on... Well, I wouldn't even call it a pocket pick. He's just a popular pick in general on control center. He just finds a lot of use with his nades and his mines, especially also his traps against brawlers. It's actually pretty damn useful. A lot of the time, people really underestimate Junkrat, but he can dish out a lot of damage if people are funneled into tight corridors. And we actually do see a Mei coming out as well for UFT.
Yeah, so both teams are going to be looking to brawl, but Dino already falling the Junkrat and the Reinhardt.
Yes, now on the retreat, UFT is going to try and regroup, or not stagger. Wow, that's a clean 5-0 for Northeastern.
Yeah, so the big differences that we're seeing in these compositions are, of course, the Mei versus the Junkrat. The Junkrat has much more powerful spam power, but the Mei is obviously able to perhaps get some huge value with those walls. And Orisa versus Reinhardt.
Yeah, so it all really relies on those early picks. As one member of either team falling off, that is a large amount of either damage, CC, or healing gone. As the Mei wall tries to catch out the Reinhardt, but they just can't deal enough damage. The Battlemore keeping the fight alive.
Teams. And the Reinhardt finally falls, but so does Coolnoodle. This fight's looking quite close, and there's that early tire.
Wow.
It for Northeastern.
Double kill for Neats. It was a little later in the fight, but by the time he had it and popped it, it could have really honestly gone either way. And that's going to be a solid extra 10 to 20% that Northeastern is just going to take.
It really is just the ult advantage, I think, from the Junkrat being able to pump out so much damage on the UFT.
Exactly, and all the damage is not really converting to support ultimates either, as Bap is behind as well in terms of that. UFT are going to try and push onto the point. They're going to be facing the window, though. Orisa ducks back behind cover, but Reinhardt is trying to push his advantage. He does have the shatter. He pops it and stuns the Orisa.
Well, Coolnoodle just caught out of position as Orisa is forced to give up space to the window, and Northeastern very quick to press that advantage, but the fight's flipped with an enormous beat from Argent.
Yeah, and thanks to that beat, especially, UFT are actually able to recap the point.
Big stalling coming up from this Lucio, though. Gets Northeastern all the way up to 78%. So
yeah, we are now in one fight territory. UFT losing one fight here could be the end of the entire map.
We're going to see Coolnoodle trying to get big value out of that window.
Yeah, we do see the Symmetra swap actually coming up for Northeastern as they're going to try and rush down the supports. Lucio, Bap, and Reinhardt getting caught out by the Orisa ults.
Oh, and that is huge. Northeastern gets split. Aspect so quick. Find that opening, pull them apart, and secure the fight with the Orisa ultimate.
You know, that is a massive, massive fight for UFT to win. So close to both of their DPS ultimates. Meanwhile, Northeastern is still in the rebuilding phase. They're still trying to get all of theirs back. Orisa being able to find the Lucio and the Bap off guard while they were trying to rush them separated from their team was actually an incredible play. You know, Dino's looking to pop his ult here. He's going to try and overcharge. A big beat coming out from Timid, and Neats is going to pop his Riptire. Can he find a kill? Yes, he finds Dinos shutting down the possible overcharge, making sure that Sojourn does not get any value this fight. Meanwhile, Lance tries to secure the kill on Lucio. And that's Glee with a double, Wove cleaning up the Orisa, and here we are. We are 80%, rapidly approaching the end of map 1. Now, Lane switching onto Tracer, he's going to try and contest.
Dino's going to be looking to get... really needs to get a lot of value out of this overclock. Lucio's low, but he managed to get out.
Yeah, Aspect picks off Neats, but Kiriko, Hop does kill Koodle. Lines coming out for Northeastern. And Bo does manage to pick off Dino. This UFT is starting to fall apart. Is unsure if they're going to be able to capture. Almost there, 70%. And Scully does find a kill, and that does look like the end of map 1. We are going into the series 1-0 for Northeastern.
It's a very close map there. We take all the way to, 70 to 99 on third point Legioning. So it's very closely fought, and we're seeing, I think both teams on 2 out of those 3 rounds of Legioning Tower really heavily favoring those sort of brawly comps and then some diva dive and some ball dive.
Yep, so coming into it, really, both teams tried out a lot of different stuff to see what would work. Northeastern did settle on more of a divey comp. Meanwhile, UFT certainly did seem to favor, or they didn't really seem to favor any. They switched quite often between dive and brawl, just trying to find what sticked. They were pretty good at securing the objective early, but weren't able to, or they didn't really have the ult economy to keep it going. And once they lost the point, it was almost impossible for them to retake it afterwards.
So we're seeing both teams, but especially Northeastern, looking quite strong on defense on that control map. And of course, the big thing is, I think Land sort of struggling a bit to find a position for that echo, as Land sort of somewhat known for that really scary echo play, but Northeastern just doesn't have any weakness to it.
Yeah, so Lamb was able to find a lot of good picks, but unfortunately they were traded back quite often, and even though he was able to win some fights off of his picks, a lot of the time it was evened out rather quickly. And after Echo's abilities go on cooldown, it's a little hard for her to actually extract a lot of value without waiting those like 7 to 8 seconds for all of her abilities to come back online so they can be used together. Now, as we wait for the teams to confirm which map we are going to for map 2, were there any standout performances in your opinion from that game?
I think, even though UFT did lose the map, I think I really liked Aspect's tank play, especially on Legion Gardens in that overtime win, and with that big Orisa ult on Control Center. Just really great job of noticing sort of positional vulnerabilities, and really great job of sort of splitting and pulling apart those positions of Northeastern.
Yep. So our next map coming up is going to be Kings Row, and UFT selected the map, and Northeastern selected their side. They're going to be starting on defense, and there will actually be a sub. Neats is getting swapped out for Hedwig. That is going to be one of their DPS. We're getting a Hedwig is a hit scan player who specializes in Cassidy and Widowmaker. Do you have any other insight on what this could mean for Northeastern going into this game?
Well, I think we see, I know that Dino has a quite scary Widowmaker and quite a scary Sojourn as well, so it really depends on what the teams want to play. Kings are obviously a fairly strong Widow map, but, if we saw Brawl before on Lijiang, we are, I think, definitely going to be seeing a lot of Brawl on Kings Row. It is, of course, an old Brawl favorite.
Yeah, exactly. Especially around first point, actually. That's the main brawl point on this map. That's where you see a lot of Widow duels. You'll see a lot of Reinhardt. You'll see a lot of Mei. You'll see a lot of Junkrat. A lot of spam. And a lot of fighting actually just takes place around that first choke point. And that's actually where a lot of teams get stalled out. But after the first point is taken, the map just opens up nice and wide. And we see a lot of different strategies being employed to either keep the momentum going or just try and catch people out as the cart makes its way through the streets of London.
And it's quite a strong map for Junkrats. I know it's quite a strong map for it can be quite strong for Widowmakers, but it is especially a Sojourn map. And so I'm curious, I'm keeping my eye on Dino in particular in this map. And really, I think we're going to be looking to see a lot of big plays from DPS is what I'm expecting to see.
Yep, I'm gonna be actually curious if we see Widow, Widow v Widow from the defensive team. Because when you're attacking on King's Row, it is pretty consequence free for you to go Widow, go to the top window, and you just like take a shot. If nobody's there, you switch, or you can like walk out of spawn even then go back in. But when you're defending, the spawn is so far away that if you go Widow and you're not mirrored, you're actually kind of putting your team at a bit of a disadvantage. Because if people go Deathball style or just brawl with a Reinhardt and they try and like force around the statue area, there's not actually a lot of value that Widow can extract.
No, it's true. And as well, with the sort of Widow v Sojourn, I think Sojourn really, really excels on King's Row. There's no sight lines that are too short for her to be unable to slide away, and there's very few sight lines also that are too long for her to be able to either close the distance or just rail people down. And with the recent changes, even with Railgun nerfed, she can still one-shot a Widowmaker. So I'll be surprised if we see too much Widow play, except maybe in a Widow v Widow mirror.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, that's a pretty good point. Like Widow getting one shot now by Sojourn's Railgun is massive, especially King's Row, where there's not really a lot of long sight lines. Usually, a Widow would have dominated. Um, I can only really think of one that was out of the spawn, and maybe another right after first point he's capped onto the long street. Aside from that, it's more of like the Goldilocks zone. It's too far for most of your hit scans to really retaliate against the Sojourn, but her railgun is just really effective, and the hitbox on it is so wide that it makes headshots not that difficult to hit.
We might be seeing more Cassidy if the teams want to run really brawl heavy, because of course he's a bit stronger in those up close and personal situations than a Sojourn. But my eyes are definitely on the hitscan players coming into this. Then again, a Junkrat, an Echo of Pharah, a Hanzo, Mei, you name it, projectile characters can be quite strong on King's Row, but I think we've seen already pretty strong performances out of these hitscan players, so I'm interested to see what they can get done on King's Row.
Yeah, exactly. Um, I don't think actually no, we have seen Sklee on somebody other than Balby. I've seen him on Reinhardt. So I'm actually intrigued to see if he follows through with Reinhardt, as most teams usually do. They take Ryan on the first point, and then they can either swap later or they can use it to push further into the map. I'm curious if we're going to see like Ryan v Ryan, if we're going to see Junkrats or not Junkrat, Junker Queen coming out, or Sigma's even Sigma not typically on the first point, but still could work. You have any insight into that, into what our tank matchup could look like?
Well, I know U of T Blue's been playing quite a lot of Ramatra lately. We didn't see
Mhm.
any Ramatra, obviously, in the first round on Legion Tower, but we might be seeing some of the new tank edition, who's a little bit less dominant in the meta than he was Season 2, but still quite strong, as it looks like the teams are ready.
Yep. So here we are loading into King's Row. As we stated before, Northeastern did choose to go on the defense versus U of T.
It is an interesting choice, but I think we saw some very, very strong defense from them on Legion Tower. Obviously, control plays differently, but
Yeah.
once they got a hold of that control point, very, very hard to take it away from them. So we'll be seeing what looks like a ball comp, actually, for defense coming out of Northeastern on this first point of King's Row.
Yeah, and just like you called it, actually, Hedwig is going to be picking out Sojourn to start off with. Sojourn pocketed by that Zen Orb and a defensive ball. Curious enough. Not my first go-to, but given how there are multiple like pathways around the first choke, and not really that surprising. We do see a Widow Peak from Dino going to try and pick off any stragglers and see if anyone's going to challenge him. Probably going to switch over to Sojourn. Yep.
Yeah, and there's the Dino Sojourn, so we're going to be seeing Sojourn mirror Diva versus Ball, which looks to be, in my mind, a pretty favorable matchup for U of T, who are now taking up their position around the side of the statue. Whoa, looking to get something done, but recall forced already.
Yep, and Ball is just going to try and extract as much pressure as he can away from the team. We do see Lan getting a little bit more aggressive with those sticky grenades, as the entirety of UFT actually postures up toward the high ground. They're not going to be standing around the choke for too long.
Lan's getting really low. Just jumped up.
Lan almost gets picked off, and Headwood finds a pick onto Dino. Not before Dino can find a pick onto Woe, though. We're going to see
Immortality comes out, but it looks like Hawk is going to fall, and UFT are looking very strong on this first attack. It looks like they are going to be taking King's Row first point in pretty rapid fashion.
Yep, so this is typically a lot faster than we see King's Row games happen. Both teams sit off to more of an unorthodox pick. You know, Ball in the defense. Diva, more common, but usually not seen like right out the gate. But it does favor them.
We were expecting.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and Sleep does die, unfortunately. Yeah, as UFT are going to try and push their advantage as much as possible, see if they can find any picks. They do find the Sojourn, and they're going to be looking at Kiriko now. Unfortunately, she should have her TP up. But Zenyatta's actually dead, and that means Kiriko's stranded out in the open.
That is a really big stagger that's putting UFT up not only you know, and giving them a lot of free time to push this payload uncontested, but also, if you look up at the top, they have already 3 ults online, 1 expended, and meanwhile, you know, Northeastern, they're close, they're about 75, but they only have their Zenyatta ultimate up.
Yeah, UFT are looking really good coming into this next fight. You know, copying the Ball, hopefully trying to get his mines. I'm not sure how that's going to work with only the 300 HP cap. Oh, but the Overshield does manage to take him over. And he's 84% support. Oh, unfortunately, Land does get taken out of his duplicate. Not before he's able to find Ball, and somehow Northeastern do manage to take that fight.
Yeah, just a bit of a trick engagement up there. Land unable to find the value he was looking for with that copy, and Lee really getting tons and tons of value out of those mines before now swapping onto Doomfist. Now we're seeing Doom and Kiriko swaps out of Northeastern. A Dino swap out of the Tracer. Looking to lean heavier into that dive.
Oh, Doomfist is actually a really interesting pick going into Echo, Tracer, Zen, all people who can really punish him for missing his cooldowns. And especially with the Zen Orb, cutting him down to effectively 300 HP, that's a really feels bad moment as Doomfist, and we're gonna see how he tries to play around that and maybe not challenge the backline maybe as hard as he was going to originally.
Yeah, he's looking to play pretty frontliney. Also on caught by Aspect, great play there, and Rally comes out for UFT Blue.
Yeah, so UFT are gonna try and push the objective now. Squeeze does have a charge, and she's going to try and look for something. As Kiriko Rush comes out from the side of Northeastern, neutralized by the Trans and its own Kasune Rush.
So
this is anyone's fight.
Very little dying, so a lot of seeing. Oh, Hedwig with an incredible shot at the land. Cool little falls low, but just barely managed to get out.
Yeah, RGD does try to kill, and that's still a 4 versus 4. Lan and Woe are both down right now. Doomfist going in with his Meteor Strike, unfortunately is not able to find a kill on Zenyatta because of those newly buffed armor packs on Brig.
Like, after a quite long fight, lots and lots of sustain, and teams sort of struggling to find picks, it looks like UFT are managing to push this probably to second point. Lee maybe going to be coming into contest.
Yeah, so we see Aspect here going very, very deep, trying to pressure his advantages, especially since he has the free remech with the bomb. He's not very afraid of dying at all.
Oh, but the support line
go in.
UFT already going down. But they back up.
Oh wow, yeah, that is a backup. Woe does find 2, and Sklee does find another, but unfortunately, they got to the checkpoint. The Diva Bomb must have forced everyone off of the objective, just giving that extra meter or 2 that they were stuck on.
Now Northeastern, even though they won that fight, they're going to have to back off. And they're at, well, more or less parity. These ultimates, Northeastern at a slight advantage, but Doomfist not exactly a huge playmaker.
Yeah, so well, with the ultimates being generally neutral, we're gonna tend to favor the defensive team as they're trying to hold on. We do see Timid find land, and the Sojourn ult does get popped. Sorry, no, that was just that was just a charge shot. Aspect is going to try and back off the heal, but he is being pressured constantly by the Tracer Doomfist.
Yeah, and we see Aspect falling quite low pretty frequently. Obviously, Brig Zen has a lot of strengths, especially with the pressure that Zen's able to provide, but one of its weaknesses is, of course, that healing output, as UFT Blue are kind of in a split position right now.
Yes, so Sklee Meteor Strikes out while Timid does pop the trance. That is going to be 3 ultimates down for Northeastern as they're going to try and hold here. We duplicate onto the Doomfist. Woe does find a kill. Aspect can trade it onto the supports, and he does find another with Sojourn going down. The card is not being pushed at the moment, but that is going to change shortly as Doomfist is being taken care of pulling into this room. Woe does manage to trade a kill, but and he's able to get out. I was expecting him to get trapped
That's
after.
some great stuff from UFT. Not able to secure the fight perhaps quite as cleanly as they would have liked, but I think Dino forcing Trank out with that Pulse Bomb really allowed UFT to use their own tranquility defensively and to use that copy to secure quite a lot of momentum.
Yeah, so Noodle does find Woe, does 5-orb him. An Aspect does get popped, however, the Diva Bomb is coming out. It's not going to find any picks, but it is going to allow Aspect to remech right away.
Sklee falls.
Yeah, Land finds the kill into Sigma. Aspect kills Timid and Sojourn. And that does look like it's going to be a cap for UFT. 3-0 with 45 seconds left. That is a pretty good time, and it's also going to give them the extra minute in case it does go to 3-3. Not bad at all.
We're seeing some unconventional tank picks, especially from Northeastern there with the with the ball pick and with the Doomfist pick. Neither of which fared particularly well against that Diva from Aspect. And Northeastern, as we've seen and as we've expected, can be quite strong on defense, quite strong at I think blunting the momentum of and really sort of muddling up attacking pushes. But I mean, what can you say, right? That DPS duo, especially from UFT, just so scary to be playing against. An Aspect really able to provide so much pressure.
Yeah, exactly. And we should also note again that this is UFT's map pick. They have obviously practiced this a bunch, and you can see by their rotations and the angles, as well as the picks that they seem to be like made out of nowhere. They are very, very experienced on this map, and they are ready to take Northeastern to Pound Town when it's time.
And it does look like, from what we've seen, Northeastern, especially Sklee with favoring that ball and that Doomfist, as we've seen before as well in Legion Tower, it looks like Northeastern are sort of favoring more of a dive playstyle, and definitely with ball, Lucio, Kiriko, Tracer, it looks like we're going to be seeing dive again from them as Dino stays on the Sojourn. We have Lan on Genji and still the same Diva Brig Zen.
Did swap onto Reinhardt though, and we're going to see Reinhardt May on the attacking side. That's interesting.
Oh no, this is heavy brawl.
Yeah. You see their
corrected.
comp switch last second. We're going to see Reinhardt shielding his team onto the high ground. They're going to see if they can take a fight right up across where the hotel is.
But Aspect's in a very powerful position to pressure that Reinhardt there.
Yep. That's a lot of free damage coming up, but the Mei wall does manage to block off a lot of their DPS.
Immortality Field already forced out. UFT Blue don't find a pick in that brief moment of split position. Northeastern who really regrouped quite beautifully there, but...
Oh wow, what a beautiful pin from Sklee, finding Dino, and now it's only the Genji DPS still alive. Argentine does fall to Hedwig, and that looks like a done deal for Northeastern. Genji is still stuck behind, but it looks like he's going to be able to retreat through the hotel if needed. Sklee does find Koodle.
Really just some really fantastic rotations. UFT had looked for a moment there like they were going to completely pull a position apart, but Northeastern just so completely coming together. As we see this...
UFT's not ready to get rid of it yet. They're going to kill the Immort before the bomb goes off. Fortunately, does not find anyone. Rogue finds the kill onto Genji. And Argentine does look like he's going to die again. Though it does look like UFT is going to be able to hold.
they very well might. It's still a very close fight as Dino falls low, forced to back out. And there comes Beat from Northeastern.
Yep, now this fight is very, very bloody. Sojourn does have her ultimate ready. Overclock is going to be available for the next fight. Not really matched by anyone. And Dino gets picked. Woe finds Dino as Trans comes out for Poodle, just trying to force the team back. Reinhardt does fall over, and so does Woe.
That fight is finally cleaned up after really, really close fighting. Northeastern do find 2 ticks on point, and they do have all of their ultimates except for Beat online.
So close to capping the point. Unfortunately, they were stopped at 94%. They are going to look to cap again, though, with 4 ultimates coming up, especially with the Shatter and the BAP window. There's not really a lot of space that UFT can call their own with so much pressure.
Caught out by the window and the Shatter. Dino finds the pick on the Woe, but Archie falls and Lamb finds the Baptiste with the blade, but that's all she wrote.
Yep. Unfortunately, both of their DPS ults weren't enough to save it. Oh, but it does look like it's going to be a 1v1 between Zen and Lucio to cap the point. And Koodle does find it, and UFT manages to hold another fight. Wow. This game has been incredibly bloody so far.
Twice now, UFT have really just pulled back from what I thought were completely losing positions. As we see, particularly Aspect with some just tremendous resilience, or else you call it, just staying alive and staying on point for so much longer than you would think, would be possible.
Yeah, so Sojourn going in melee range, especially after the Diva's gone, not a great idea. Reinhardt does fall low as well, and Tracer is Discord orbed, half HP on the point. Or Brig and Zen, you're not going to kill either of them there. And again, she got again, 99% this time. Like, UFC are showing just what a monstrous hold can look like. It has been bloody. We have a lot of trades, and it really came down to each individual player to make sure that the point was not capped.
We do see Kun Noodle being forced into an awkward position here. Trance is forced out, and they're going to need to try and find some real pressure with that as the map is flipped.
And now they switch places. The attackers are defenders, defenders are the attackers, and Hedwig is going to look for a juicy pulse bomb, maybe onto the Zen. He does find the stick, and that's going to be a massive pick. Although BAP does fall for Northeastern as well.
Shatter comes down, and it does look like Northeastern are probably going to be able to claim this point finally, as it is only Lan alive for UFT.
I wouldn't call your chickens before they hatch, as Lan is still there, able to fight on the point, and in overtime on first point, Kings Row. But Koodle does find a pick, and he's not able to to contest the objective. That was a solid 5-minute hold from UFT. Just a really good brawl from both teams, actually. And that really just halted their momentum.
Work staying alive from UFT.
Yeah.
Now, we do have the ult advantage for UFT as well. They have Rally and Overclock almost online. Although Overclock, it is a very powerful ultimate, but against this lineup that we're seeing, Dino might struggle to find, the 2-3 kills that you want.
Yeah, so Dino does have a flanking position, though. The entirety of UT actually is going for the high ground. They're going to try and shoot or force Northeastern into an uncomfortable position as they're able to turn the corner, running away from Dino's line of sight. Zen does seem to be left behind a little there, but Hedwig is going to be able to poke and Klee on the top of the wall. Klee does fall to land, and Dino does whip out his overclock. Massive pick on the
shots.
Yeah, and the DPS on UFT's side are just able to clean up the fight.
Yeah, and the Sklee again with the ball pick into this Diva from Aspects. I don't know about it, especially with Discord Orb. As we can see, this Hammond is just being melted down so very fast.
Yeah, I mean, this Brig Zen backline is just, it feels incredibly untouchable. Going up against a Tracer Ball Sojourn, they just haven't faltered at all. Really just able to hold their own. We do see Woe almost being caught out there, but he is able to walk back to his team. As Timid is a little more wary, he's a little timid right now, going the long way around to make sure he doesn't get shot by Sojourn up top.
Speaking of pressure, but UFT dropping from this higher position, looking to get some kills on that backline. Timid escapes with the cleanse. And Aspect is DMA'd.
Yeah, unfortunately, Aspect is going to fall, and that's going to open up a little bit more of the map for Northeastern. They still do have a long ways to go with only 30 seconds left. This is going to go to overtime. As Dino was cut off, but it doesn't look like Clean U is going to be able to fall back, but Koodle does find Woe and pops the Transcendence. Force Northeastern off the point. 15 seconds left. Timid and QG Hop both pop their ultimates.
Oh, Havoc falls in overclock.
Oh, wow. Splee and QG Hop both find a pick onto UFT, but it does look like they're going to be able to trade, though. Aspect does have Diva Bomb to remech if needed.
Lee goes down, Tim goes down, Hop goes down.
Wow, and that's going to be map 2 for UFT, tying up the score 1-1. What a solid defense from them. Absolutely, like, nearly holding them on first point into just stopping them from reaching the halfway point towards second.
So that support backline from UFT, just very nearly unkillable, even with one or two of them down. Just such an incredibly strong performance of really staying alive and keeping those fights going, keeping UFT in the fight, even against odds that, for other teams might have been unsurmountable.
Yeah, exactly. And I mean, it was just thanks to their amazing stalling potential that they were able to just hold first for so long.
You can really see why UFT wanted to play King's Row.
Yeah, exactly. Now, the map pick is going to go back over to Northeastern, though. I do wonder where they are going to take us, given that next is Escort. This is the same mode, basically, that they just played. Although maybe without the cap point in the beginning, they're actually going to be able to exercise a little more freedom. Escort maps do tend to be a little more open, lending themselves a little better to the ball playstyle that we've seen Clee be just really comfortable with.
Yeah, and with the map pick being in the hands of Northeastern, I'll be surprised if we see anything other than I'm expecting to see them play a ball game, because from what we've seen, it looks like that is to their favor. And now the question is, will Aspect try to answer that with that Diva, as we've seen before, maybe Roadhog, maybe Orisa?
Yeah, well, the UFT does seem to be pretty comfortable into the ball. Their Zen Break backline hasn't fallen to their dive, I don't think, once. And their backline being able to hold really well together opens up the opportunity for UFT's DPS and their tank to just go dive the enemy backline and return, who are going to have to chunk down both Aspect's health pool and then Baby Diva, and then as well is going to have the threat of the DPS on them as well. It's really just a really awkward thing about playing with the ball is if the ball and the other divers aren't able to secure a kill, you're just kind of standing around not sure what you're going to do next.
And again, securing a kill, as we've seen, UFT just such a really, really, really strong backline. As even in positions that look split, they're very hard to pick off. And we've seen, especially as they're very, very comfortable on King's Row, we really saw Northeastern just struggle a lot to find picks to open up fights. And it really does make me wonder what map they're going to be looking to choose as we go into the third and final map of this best of 3 series.
Yeah, exactly. And, as both teams have warmed up more, as we've gone on to the second map and now going to the third, you actually see like the play has sped up considerably since the first point Li Jiang. We're seeing a lot less poke phases. We're just seeing a lot more all lane and a lot more rush. We're going to see more Lucio. And we're just going to like try and swing the momentum in whichever way we can.
Yeah. And we've seen some really, really scary Echo gameplay, especially on that King's Row. We saw some huge Echo plays out of LAN, who obviously is very comfortable in the Echo. It does make me wonder how much, I suppose, of an answer that might be to the ball, as we've seen. And around that map pick, they're going to have to be a little bit careful, I think, about allowing too much space for UFT Blue to play in those sort of big open areas that they've seemed fairly comfortable in.
Yeah, I mean, when it comes to ball, you're really going to struggle when it comes to Discord orbs. You got Brig, that's annoying. You got the sticky bombs into the beam, which just destroys you when you're fit below 50 HP. And like all those factors really just changes around the thresholds that you're trying to play around with. A lot of the time, ball players, what they really excel at is going into a fight and then running away at around 1 HP. But with Discord and Beam and all these other modifiers like plunged into the mix, it's going to be very difficult to really gauge that properly. And then you're finding what happens most of the time is that Sklay is getting picked just as he's about to leave. Just as usually balls get away with 1 or so HP, they're getting stopped by the Discord orb and the Beam bonus damage.
It does look like there is a bit of a lineup switch. Neats is coming back on as a Hedwig we saw on Sojourn last round is being subbed in for Neats.
Yeah, and we are going to our next map here with Havana. Northeastern chose Havana of all maps. In the Notorious Sniper map, not really too many ball angles. Like I haven't seen ball play too often. Mostly it's more front-loaded team comps.
More like it's a Sigma map, it's a Diva map, it's sometimes a Winston map, sometimes a Reinhardt map. But yeah, in my mind, doesn't seem like a ball map.
Yeah, exactly. It's all about controlling the high grounds and just trying to force yourself into the high advantage points, trying to deny snipers, trying to deny the Ashe, the Sojourn, the Widow, the Cassidy, whoever's trying to get up there. You're trying to either kill them or push them off and take the advantage for yourself. That's why Sojourn is really good in these matches. And we do see that U of T is going to pick defense first going into map 3.
Both teams seeming to favor defense, and it makes sense. We've seen really, really strong defensive play in different ways out of both teams. U of T obviously really, really, really good at those stall plays and just extending fights with that almost unkillable backline. And Northeastern with just those very solid defenses, and with Tankland in particular able to sort of disrupt attacks.
Yep, exactly. So now going into Havana, newly brought into Overwatch 2, a lot of players actually haven't touched this or haven't played this map in a very, very long time. And I'm going to be interested in seeing how refined this is going to be or how bloody it's going to be. Because like maps like Kings Row, Lijiang, they've been around for a long time. We've had them in Overwatch 2 ranked especially, since like the launch of the game. So seeing Havana come in as a relatively like new reintroduced one in 5v5, I'm interested in seeing if there are any like new innovations to the strategy, like changes that are going to happen.
Definitely snipers with one less tank are much, much more powerful in Havana, and we see U of T setting up the defense with a Sigma double sniper comp. Same backline as before, but now we have Lan on, Ashe, and Dino, and Widowmaker. And it looks like Northeastern are mirroring with a Sigma comp, but they're going more of a sort of a Brawl Sigma. Neats. Oh no, Neats on Widow now.
Neats does swap off of Genji onto Widow, trying to pick off some people early from spawn. He's probably going to swap back to Genji, as they favor more of a dive comp if they're not able to out Widow the enemy. Dino does find the pick onto Neats, who grapples up into the air for a cheeky air shot, and that's going to put a little bit of a damper on their initial push.
Well, trying to find a position for some pressure.
But he is cornered, forced into retreating after he blows his recall. The cart is now coming around the corner. This is where most teams struggle because there's not as much natural cover leading up to the road. That allows a lot more angles for Widow and for Ashe to pick off at your backline. Neats does get body shot by Dino, but Dino is picked off by Tracer. Wow. Now, while is staying around, he's full HP. He's going to look for another. The RG is there to answer his call. Sklay is going to try and pressure with the Sigma, but they're all too far. They're all outside of his 20-meter range. Immort comes out.
Aspect helped out by Cool Noodle with some real strong Zen pressure onto that Sigma to allow Aspect out of what was potentially a very dangerous position. And U of T are resecuring this. Neats falls, Hop falls, and there's the fight.
Yeah, there's the recapture, and as I mentioned before, Neats is going to switch. Oh my god, what a pick from Aspect with the prediction rock, catching out Tracer right as she blinks. Wow.
We're seeing in the mirrors, we're seeing Poodle Noodle up 20% on that Transcendence charge. We're seeing Aspect also up 20% on Flux, and Neat's now swapping onto Hanzo to try and contest the Widowmaker. Hanzo is going to have the big advantage of more shield break, but struggles in those sniper kills.
Yeah, so we're likely going to see some early tempo ults here, especially from Aspect, who already has this Gravitic Flux. He's going to try and lift the enemy team into the air and make it clean pickings for his hit scan.
Oh, but Aspect falls!
Oh, he gets picked off by the rock into Tracer, and Len gets picked up. Unfortunately, he is dropped behind a wall, so he's able to survive. However, Northeastern does have this push, and it does look like they're going to be able to cap first point.
Plan, oh, is saved by his backline, and UFT are in position potentially for a retouch. It looks like that's exactly what they're trying to do with that.
Window does find the break pretty early on into a rally, but Aspect is able to find a pick onto Baptiste. Bob picks off Sklee.
And there's that early charge Transcendence from Poodle Noodle coming out and really coming in clutch with the breakdown, just barely saving that first point with less than a meter to go.
Yeah, almost secured the point for Northeastern, but unfortunately 4 ults did come out from UFT all at once, and it was a little too much for them to bear.
I'll be surprised
they do
if we don't
still have
see
Trans coming into this.
Taking this next point. As land falls,
Len gets picked early by the Sonar Arrow, and we're going to see the Sigmas running at each other, both with Discord Orb on top of them, sucking each other off. We see RG finding the pick onto Tracer, and Widow's getting poked out from the top by Sklee as the sea is being parted, and it does look like... Oh no, it does look like the RG is going to be... or Aspect and RG are going to be able to hold the front line as Sklee is forced into the corner.
And now Northeastern have to play from this slightly split position. They're going to be looking to put some pressure on Aspect with that Discord Orb. But, you know, time and again, UFT's support backline just continues to impress.
Yep, so, wow, what a masterful Dragon's coming out. Neats finds 2, about to find 3. Woe cleans up on the Zenyatta kill. And that is going to be a reset from UFT, and Northeastern does capture the first point.
They capture it, it must be noted, in overtime, and now they are at a slight disadvantage. Both teams have Flux online. And support ults, again, 20% faster to that Trans, and you have Window against Rally.
Yeah, so Northeastern only playing with the 2 minutes 30 that they're given for capturing that point. So time is going to be a little tight, but UFT did get the long spawn, meaning that they're going to be able to capture a little bit more for free following off that last fight. Now Sklee is going to back off while Aspect is there, but the draft window does come out. They're going to force back Aspect. And with a massive critical coming inside, is he going to be able to find anybody? Neats finds Dino, but Dino, they trade each other. Well, Aspect and Spear throwing their balls at each other.
Doesn't secure any kills.
Yep. And now Aspect is coming on strong. UFT is going to find kills. Koodle does get 2. And Argini is able to clean up Sklee. And with 1 minute 30 left, we've got a game on our hands.
Now the ult economy is very decisively in UFT's favor. Both teams pretty much have Transcendence online. Pulse Bomb, of course, but that Flux from Sklee really... I mean, a 3-man Flux that kills nothing. That hurts.
Yeah, that was incredibly unfortunate. He did manage to Flux 3 people, but they were indoors, they were out of position. Or out of position for Sklee to go chase after. It's a left click. There's one left click into... Gravitic Flux is usually a kill on 200 HP targets. As Trans comes out early, Aspect does pick them up with his Gravitic Flux. Dino finds QG Hop, but Neats is able to trade back onto Tracer.
Poodle Noodle's in trouble. The Sigma falls, but Aspect does manage to survive.
Yeah, and that looks like a clean fight for Northeastern. Aspect does have the Discord Orb on him, trying to back up. He doesn't have any supports with him at the moment. Going down to 50 HP, the Brig gets back at the nick of time. And they're going to be able to actually recontest pretty quickly, since Aspect did not die there.
Now, UFT, if you look, they have Transcendence, they have almost an Overclock. They're in a pretty strong position for this recontest. Yep,
this next fight really looks like it's going to hinge on whether or not the Pulse Bomb lands, and if Poodle was able to pop his Transcendence in time to save himself.
Dragons come out, but Argentine manages to stay alive despite being, low several times there. Transcendence forced, though.
Yeah, that was an early Transcendence, but we are in overtime. And it does look like Squee's gonna fall. Poodle does find a pick. Woe trades, but Dino manages to pick off Baptiste with the overclock. And that ends round 1. Now UFT and Northeastern are going to switch sides. UFT is going to be on the attack. Can they get that point and a half?
What really stands out from that round is, obviously in these Sigma mirrors, the amount of pressure that the Zen is able to provide is really important. But I think we saw Koodle Noodle doing pretty consistently more damage, and really those faster transcendences and the extra pressure onto the Sigma was huge. That combined with, the really strong rotates and disengages from UFT, managing to stay alive, managing to regroup fast and recontest, like on that first point where you wouldn't expect them maybe to be able to. We're going to have to see a pretty strong defensive performance from Northeastern in the match.
Yeah, exactly, and especially when it comes to UFT's side, how Aspect managed to stay alive for so long, both in the first point stall and in the second, or coming into second point. He just didn't die, and that was a really strong factor when it comes to the team regrouping and contesting the point early, as you need your tank there to contest the objective, but you don't necessarily need both of your supports or both of your DPS. You can be down a person, just not down your tank. And Aspect always being there, it just lends the team a lot more freedom to hold.
We're seeing the same comp. Already a little bit of early pressure onto Dino, but shields down for both Sigmas. Aspect falling low.
Yeah.
But so far the fight is proceeding in...
Sklee does manage to pick off Ash in the backline, as this is looking like a lot more of a brawly opening, a lot more bloody coming down the street. Woe does manage to pick off Dino as well, and I would be surprised if Aspect made it out alive.
Looks like he's going to the very strong sustain from especially Argentine now on the Baptiste. But now we see Lance switching off Ash onto the Genji. Gonna be looking to push Woe off of that high ground.
Yeah, so after the early Immort, they're gonna really try and find a pick here. Aspect is going to lay more pressure onto them.
Oh, and Woe just barely managing to stay alive.
Wow, but Sklee does manage to fall, and with the Immort out as well, Dino does manage to find a pick onto Baptiste, and land kills Hanzo. Now with the stagger kill onto Sojourn as well, it does not look like they're going to be able to contest this. Yep.
The amount of pressure from that Genji, and the amount of peel that Northeastern needed to commit to save their Sojourn, really, I think, made the fight. And now it's a very fast first point for UFT.
Yep, exactly. And with that dominance, you see a 5-minute timer, a whopping 4 minutes and 50 seconds before their push.
And now Flux and no Lamp. Lamp was forced out.
Yep, that was a beautiful Flux from the side of UFT, although they are able to be traded out by Flux from Sklee, as well as Nietzsche's Dragon. As they're able to stop the push. Oh.
When the Lamp was forced out and when Aspects come in with that Flux, you would expect the fight to be over, but I think that really well-coordinated Flux into Dragon. Very impressive play.
Yeah, that was pretty good ult combos, and the back window does come out for Northeastern. They're just going to try and force the team back. Sklee and Neats both find picks of their own, able to force UFT back into their spawn. Now looking into this ult economy a little bit more, you do see that Trans is available to counter the Dragon Blade and the Overclock respectively. So both teams have answers to the DPS offensive ultimate, so this is going to be a long and drawn out fight coming up next.
Now we're already down a minute and a half of that big time bank UFT has for this second point, so it's interesting to see how they're going to look to play this with the ult economy.
Yeah, so coming around the corner, Aspect gets absolutely blasted, knocked back down. He is able to be healed though, the BAP healing really coming in clutch. Dino looking for a pick here, maybe. Or he's just going to try and chunk out the Sigma. Dropping down under, they are going to cheese out an extra 20 meters towards the objective.
UFT. Oh, Woe manages to find land with that overclock.
Yep, Zenyatta left at 1 HP, going to be picked off by Splee. And wow, that is a solid hold.
Yeah, and I think just the particularly the supports getting caught out on the left there in that rotation down to low ground from UFT really hurt them, and you know, Woe coming down to 14 health in the overclock, but still managing to ultimately find 2 picks. And now UFT only have 2.5 minutes. Half of their time bank that they had coming to the second point is already gone.
Yeah, now we see both Zens still holding on to their ultimates. They're still waiting on the proper moment. And we also see Len still does have his Dragon Blade, so maybe they are able to find picks here. As Dino's ult is about to come online, Teammate finds the pick onto Koodle, removing 1 trans from play. As UFT try to break into the point, Lance finds a kill, but Sklee is trading onto Aspect. It looks like it's going to be another regroup. Sklee does find the pick on BAP. Wow.
It looks like, if you ask me, UFT, I think now is going to be the decisive fight. They have 5 ultimates online, and I think that's why, for the last minute, we haven't seen them in the ultimates. We've seen them playing slow, and I think playing for ultimate charge, because now they are up. Yeah, they're up a pretty significant amount in the ult economy.
Yep, now looking at an early gravitative clutch from Sklee. He's going to be able to find Aspect, pulls him out of the lamp, and Trans comes out late as Dino is looking like he's going to be picked off. Wow. Popping 3 ultimates, they're not able to get the advantage, and Sklee is pushing even further into their spawn to try and stagger more. Northeastern have executed an iron grip on this objective, and they're not letting go anytime soon. Still holding on to that Trans again.
Now that, yeah, it just flux right at the same time as Cylinder. That's gotta hurt, but now it's looking like Lan is going to be trying to set up for some big value with this Dragon Blade going on around for flank. As Aspect
picks him too, but the window is going, or the Immort is going to stop him. And Trans does come out for Timid, giving an open path for Len. Is about to Dragon Blade in.
Oh, that Dragon Blade is shut down.
Now, while he's on the sidelines, trying to farm up his charge here, going to try and go to pick, especially the flank onto Zen, who's going to be going back to the objective. Fortunately, he's not able to get it, and RGD actually does pick him off. This is the push. It's now or never for UFT. 20 seconds left on the clock, and they are nearing a fresh back window. Unfortunately for them, though, Woe has his overclock already, and Sklee and Neats are both about to have their ultimates ready to bust down that contest. Overtime is going to be very difficult against both the Dragon and the Flux.
It looks like Lan is trying to find the pressure. Pop falls. That's quite big.
Oh, and
it looks like UFT finally
gets a kill onto Timid. Woe does pop overclock, trying to find a kill, but the lamp says no. And it's a cap. UFT break the curse. They go 4-0 in the tournament, and this is their first win against Northeastern in a competitive setting.
And what a close fought win it was. I mean, you know, overtime on the 3rd map of the best of 3 series. That is a really, really impressive performance out of both teams, and I think especially out of I really have to give it to just that support backline for UFT. Just such an incredible amount of appeal for each other, and such a, you know, such a huge amount of sustain and pressure at the same time. Just tremendous performance.
Yeah, exactly. So it was a really close fought series. UFT did end up taking it 2-1, but sorry. Brain fart. So UFT does end up taking it 2-1. It was really impressive to see both teams really rise up to the challenge, as we did see a switch between defense and attack. Northeastern started on defense on their own map, and UFT did as well. And just seeing them like rise up to the tempo that was set out by the other teams, that was truly incredible to watch. And all the games were incredibly close, from 99 to 9, or from 75 to 99 on Control, to Escort coming down to the wire, or from Hybrid coming down to the wire, and then the Escort as well going into overtime. Both teams were just incredibly evenly matched, and it's really, really nice to see that the better team came out on top.
Very strong defensive performances out of both teams. I think very strong Sigma play, very strong Diva play out of Aspect, and very strong ball play out of Sklee, who, somewhat struggled, I think, on Kings Row, really U of T's map, but still gave an impressive performance. And especially with that really, really big flux into the window of U of T, which almost looked like a death knell, but yeah, just a very, very close fought game, and we saw, I think, U of T come out on top in convincing fashion, definitely quite strong fashion, but a very, very impressive performance nonetheless out of their opponents from Northeastern.
Yep, and that's going to be the end of our games for tonight. GG's to U of T, GG's to Northeastern, and thank you all so much for coming and watching the stream. We'll see you guys next time. Goodbye.